Hello and welcome to the Spark Accounting Solutions Show. I'm Jenny Q, your host, and I'm with Julie Babcock-Hyde. Julie is a CPA, CFM, QuickBooks Pro Advisor, Profit First Professional, and I'm just getting started. Julie, hi, welcome.
Hello. I am.
Every time I introduce you, I'm like,
Do you forget all my letters?
it never ends. I didn't even get to CEO and founder of Spark Accounting Solutions, so there you go.
Well, yes, that too. Yeah. I have gathered a few letters over my lifetime.
You're a letter gatherer.
I'm a letter gatherer because I like to learn new things that will help myself and other business owners
Perfect. Makes
make
total
better
sense.
choices. Yeah.
Yeah, makes total sense. And we're all lucky that you've done that because the rest of us don't want to do all that. Today we're going to talk about the five signs you need an accountant for your home service business. Now, these are really interesting. As I was reading through them, I was like, oh, like some of them seemed really familiar when I was working with home service providers, I'm like, oh, okay, they needed an accountant. I didn't know that then.
Yes. Well, the truth is that a lot of home service business owners started out because they're really good at their trade.
Right.
And so they're like, these guys are making money off of me. I may as well make money off myself. They open the business and they don't necessarily have a lot of formal training in how to run a business, but you're really good at what you do. And so a lot of times, things pop up because some of those areas that we're weak in, like myself, one of my weaknesses, I'm an accountant. I live in a box. I follow the rules. Marketing is not my thing, right? I need help with that. I pay people to help me with that. And so knowing where those weak spots are and bringing in the right resources and knowing when it's time for them is kind of what your role is as a business owner, because we can't do everything. We just can't.
No, of course not. It makes total sense. And so if you don't have an in-house team to do all those things for you, then you need to outsource it.
Yep, it's very true. It's very true. So, shall we?
Okay, perfect. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to just jump right into it. This one was so interesting to me. You forget to bill your customers. Oops.
Okay, so I want to talk about this one because a lot of home service businesses start out, especially a few years ago, they would start out in QuickBooks Desktop. And so they weren't carrying a computer around with them from job to job. So they do the job and they'd go home and invoice. They'd send those invoices out, collect the money. All is fine and well, but then you get busier and you get busier and you get busier and you're getting home at 7 o'clock at night and 8 o'clock at night. And you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes. Now you got 2 days of invoices to do. And you also got home at 8 o'clock. Oh, I'll do it the next day. And so people start to get behind on sending out invoices, or they do send out the invoices, but never go back to check and see if their customers actually paid them or not. Payments aren't getting posted timely. They're not looking at their accounts receivable aging to see who owes them money. And this is a really good sign that it's time to bring an accountant in to help you. And there's a couple different ways that accountants can help you with this. One is there are accountants that will help actually do the invoicing for you. But the other side of this is that you may be able to just get a new system. A lot of our home service businesses use a system where as soon as they're done with the job, they are either on their tablet or their phone. They've got the jobs all in there. They've got the pricing in there, and they click the button and invoice the customer right there. And some of them even grab their card and swipe the card right there so that they're getting paid on the job. And there's no, oh gosh, I have to do this tomorrow. It's a 5 minutes at the end of the job, wrap up, get paid, make sure they're happy with the work, and move on to the next job.
Very good. Very good. Seems like a simple solution.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it, but having that all happening real time, the best time to get paid is the best time to get paid is before you do the job. But that doesn't always happen, especially in the home service industry. A lot of times you have to wait till after the job's done, customer's happy. And so if you can collect right away, the sooner you can collect, the better for you, the sooner that cash comes in and you can use it to operate your business.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so Julie, we're going to switch things up a little bit here because we're having some tech issues with the bandwidth on my end. So what I'd
Okay.
love to do is just let me run the graphics behind the scene and let you go
Okay.
through the bullets because it seems to be a better viewing experience when it's just
Perfect.
you on screen. Are you good with that?
I am totally good with that. Let's do it.
Live video.
You just go with it, right?
Okay, here we go. Go ahead with number 2.
Okay, so the second item is you don't know if you're actually making any money or not. So, a lot of times home service businesses the money comes in, the money goes out, they really don't know what's going on. They never stop and look at their numbers and say, okay, I generated this much revenue and I had this much for expenses. They just kind of peek at their bank balance to see what's going on. And the problem with that is if you never stop and look at the numbers, or you never have your bookkeeper, your accountant sit down and say, okay, you generated this much revenue and you had this much expenses, you may not know how you're really doing. So let's take, for example, I was talking to somebody that had taken a big deposit from a customer for materials for their next job. So if they looked at their bank balance right now, they'd be like, oh, I have a ton of money. But it's really easy when you're managing multiple jobs and running around all over the place to forget what's going on. And so if you're just looking at your bank balance and that's it, it's easy to forget about things, feel like you have more money than you do, and then spend it, and then not have money to pay taxes or pay yourself or pay your team or buy the materials for that job that just prepaid you. And so if you are just operating off of your bank balance, having that accountant that will actually prepare a profit and loss statement for you, prepare an income statement. Both of those are the same thing, just different words. To really go through and say, here's how much revenue you generated, here's how much materials you spent, here's what your labor was for these jobs, and here's what your net income was. And by the way, you got this other cash and it's not on your profit and loss because you haven't earned it yet. It really helps you get a bigger picture about what's going on. And so that's really another spot. If you just don't know whether you're actually making money or not on your jobs, that's another sign that you need an accountant. And next, we're going to go into number 3. And the third one is, gosh, I don't know how many times people have said to me, I don't understand taxes, just do it and we'll sign it. And that is a sign that you do probably need a different accountant if you're operating in that mentality. I don't want any small business owner to feel like they have to become a tax expert because that's not the case. However, you should understand the basics and you should understand if you're an S corporation that you're taxed on both your wages and the net income from the business. And you should understand why you are an S corporation and why that's a tax saving strategy for you. You should understand those things, and you should also understand the basic premises about what is deductible and what is not deductible. And so I want to make sure that you kind of understand the basics of your tax return. But then the next thing I want you to think through is that you're having a conversation with your tax accountant about what else you can do to put yourself in a more favorable tax position next year. And that's something that I really like to make sure people understand, that a lot of the time they're not actually paying for that service. Most people pay to have their tax return prepared. And most of the time, tax return preparation is just that. We're going to get your tax return done. But if you want tax planning, that's usually a separate engagement letter. That's usually a separate job that accountant's doing for you. And you have to ask for it. And usually you're going to have to pay for it as well. Another common mistake that people make around like this, how do I get some tax savings? Is instead of like scheduling that after tax season when their accountant is at their busiest, they're trying to get those answers in April instead of June or July or August, when their accountant has time to actually focus and concentrate on planning rather than preparation. So really think through that. Number one, do I have a basic understanding of my tax return? And number two, am I getting any tax planning advice of things I can do to save money on taxes? And both of those things are important. And if you're not getting either of those from your accountant, or you're doing your own taxes and not getting that information, that's a good time to look at getting an accountant or getting a new accountant. Okay, so that was number three. We're going to go on to number four. And number four is really interesting. Basically, when you want to make really significant changes to your business plan, this is a good time to get your accountant involved, or to get an accountant to help you evaluate it. I have worked with clients before where they sit down with me and they're like, okay, this is my plan for next year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for my commission structure. And I'm going to hire this. And I'm going to generate this much revenue. I'm going to charge this for pricing. And this is going to be great. And we go through the math and say, okay, let's actually put this down on paper. Let's build this out into a spreadsheet. Let's see if you hit the numbers you think you're going to hit, and you have the expenses you're going to have. What's that going to mean for you for take home pay for yourself? What's that going to mean for you for tax liability? And we worked through the numbers and said, oh, shoot, that's not going to work that way. And that gives you a chance, if you actually try to run the numbers and do a forecast, it gives you a chance to say, oh, this is going to be great, or oh, this isn't going to work. And you can make those changes before you implement something new that's disruptive and changes your fees to your customers, and it may not be the right fees to your customers, or changes your pay to your contractors or your employees, and maybe you're paying them too much, maybe you're not paying them enough. Gives you a chance to see that ahead of time. And that gives you the ability to really feel confident about, hey, this is a good plan. I've run the numbers. I've ran a likely scenario. I've ran a worst case. I've ran a best case. And I can live with the results of all of those and use that to help you make good decisions. So if you don't have somebody to bounce those kind of ideas off, or you don't have the skills to build that kind of analysis yourself, it's another good time to get yourself an accountant that can help you with that. And the last one that I want to talk about, number 5, is if you are looking for a more strategic way to manage your cash, it's a good time to talk to an accountant. And this is a time when it's not a good time to talk to just any accountant. It's a good time to talk to a certified Profit First professional. So if you've ever heard me talk before, you know that I am a Profit First junkie. Profit First is a book written by Mike Michalowicz with a whole system for managing your cash. And so this system, if you want to know and have a better feel for, if I get this money in, I should pay myself this much, and I should save this much for taxes, and I should set aside this for profit, and I should set aside this for paying my operating expenses. This is a book for you. And this is the method that you want to use to really get strategic about how you use your cash. What's nice about using a certified Profit First professional for this is that we have direct access to Mike's team, Mike's training, and we also have access to the rest of the whole PFP network. And so that's something that is really great, because you are getting the whole wealth of knowledge potentially from the PFP community to help really address what you're going through. So when you're looking for a PFP, you want to make sure you pick somebody that is familiar with your industry and your struggles around cash flow, and has a really good idea about how you can improve your cash flow yourself. Now, if you look down underneath me right now, we are giving away the 5 core chapters of the book Profit First. If you go to bit.ly/Spark PF book, that will get you the 5 core chapters of Profit First and kind of give you an introduction to what Profit First is all about. But if you're looking for that help to really get that strategy around cash management, this is a great place to start, and then getting a professional to help you. I liken this a lot to weight loss or business coaches or whatever. A lot of times we know what we need to do, but we need the accountability and the help to implement something that's really customized for us. And that's where having a profit first professional or a personal trainer or a business coach comes into play, is they help you get from the general knowledge of, hey, this is the way you can do it, to this is how to best specifically do it for you. So, running a business is hard. It is hard. And I just really encourage everybody, if you see any of these things in yourself, to feel free to reach out. We've got a contact us button, and are happy to do a discovery call and find out if we are a good fit to help you with your numbers problems, or if we have some advice of somebody else that would be too.
That was so good. I completely enjoyed watching that. That was awesome. So much great information. Thank you, Julie. And thank you for your patience to the viewers, the live and the replay viewers, for our bandwidth issues. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and end this broadcast. Julie, always a wealth of knowledge. Click the Contact Us button on the Facebook page if you have any questions specific to your business.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.